Hello, my name is Afradio Salmon Mujage from Edukea Tanzania. Students, welcome in this class to proceed with our first topic in Form 1 History, which is the sources and the importance of history. On the last session, as you remember, we ended on looking on dating in history. So we saw different terms concerning with dating in history, like ages, millennium, century, decades, periods, generations, and many of them. So today we are going to see the ways of determining dates. Ways of determining dates. In our topic, there is two ways of determining dates. It means there are two sets of ways to determine dates in history. The first way is local method, and the second one is scientific method. So we are going to see the only two ways of determining dates in history according to our level, or according to your level. So we are going to start with local methods, which are the simple methods whereby dates are fixed through. The first one, recording facts relating events. Second, tracing family chronologies. And the third one is tracing the origin of language. It means that local methods are simple methods, or local method is a simple method whereby dates are fixed through those things. It means that the local methods are used, or are simple methods whereby dates are fixed through recording facts relating events, tracing family chronologies, and tracing the origin of language. Here, when you say that recording facts relating events, here someone or historian is just or the respondent of the interviewer or the historian is just recording the facts relating the events. For example, you may give someone past information relating the El Nino event that occurred in Tanzania, or you may give the past events or past information concerning with the earthquake that was occurred in Kagera region. So you just record the facts relating events, and you just give the information, and you will remember that was maybe it was 20, and it means it was 2012. It was 2012 when the earthquake was occurred in maybe in a certain area. So by recalling the facts relating events, you can be able to determine the time of that event. And another is tracing family chronologies. It means that you may determine the time by tracing the family chronologies. It means that if it is just family tree, maybe I have my father, my mother, I have my grandfather, my grandmother, and the great-grandmother or great-grandfathers. So you will trace that when my great-grandfather was born, it was maybe in the year of 1700. That was the year of maybe great-grandfather. So you may trace the family chronologies according to your family tree. So that's how we determine a date, by using tracing family chronologies. But another, it is tracing the origin of language. It means that you may determine a time according to the tracing the origin of language. Maybe Swahili language was originated as the contact from the contact of the external world with East Africa, or Africa with external world. So we may come to find that the external world with the contact between Africa with external world was in the maybe in the 16th century or 15th century or from 15th century. So up to there you will be able to determine that was the date of the certain event. So that's the way we use in local methods. Means you record the facts relating events, tracing family chronologies, and tracing the origin of languages. But the second method is scientific method. We have seen local methods, and now we are going to see the scientific method in determining the dates. It means scientific methods involve experiments in laboratories where materials remains are studied through such processes. To mean that scientific methods, this is the method that involve experiments in laboratories whereby material remains are studied, and those partial remains are studied through or by using these things like radioactive dating or radiometric, and the second one is radiocarbon dating or radiocarbon 14. So these are the instruments or techniques which are used to determine date under scientific methods. It means that the scientific strategies or scientific techniques are used, while in local methods the local techniques are used in determining the date. So let us see the radioactive dating or radiometric and radiocarbon dating or radiocarbon 14. Here, there is dividing time is in starting of 0, which is the year when Jesus Christ was born. It means that dividing time is started or is in starting of 0 year, which is the year when Jesus Christ was born. Anno Domini, AD, Anno Domini is the year after the birth of Jesus Christ, and they are known as years of the Lord. It means that Anno Domini, it means that we divide the time from the year of 0 or 0 year. It is when Jesus Christ was born, or in history we call it Anno Domini. You may be asked, what is AD? AD stands for Anno Domini. AD stands for Anno for A and D, Domino for D. It means it's the year after the birth of Jesus Christ, and it's always known as the year of the Lord. But there is another BC. There is the term or initial so-called BC. BC are years before the birth of Christ or before Christ. It means that there is the term called before Christ or BC. These are the years before the birth of Jesus Christ. Historians use chronological order of events, periods, and ages such as family trees, timelines, time charts, and time graphs to tell the time or to determine the time. It means that the historians use the chronological order of the events, periods, and ages such as family tree, timelines, time charts, and time graphs in order to determine the date or to tell the time. So let us see some examples of table showing time periods and their duration. Table showing the periods and their duration. It means that in history we have to know these things in order to determine the time of the events, or to determine the dates or time of the historical events. Here we have a day. One day is equal to 24 hours. It means that to complete a day you have to spend 24 hours, or a day is equal to 24 hours. And a 1 week or a week is equal to 7 days. So you have to take 7 days in order to complete a week. And a year or 1 year is equal to 12 months. Is equal to 12 months. And the 1 month is equal to 4 weeks. 1 month is equal to 4 weeks. Also, a year has 365 days. 365 days is equal to 1 year. And 1 decade is equal to 10 years. To mean that to get a decade, you must collect 10 years. And a century is equal to 100 years or 10 decades. It means that to get a century, you have to times 10 years. Times 10. Is equal to 10 times 10, you will get 1 century. Or century is equal to 10 to 100 years. And a millennium is equal to 1,000 years or 100, or is equal to 10 centuries or 100 decades. It means that a millennium is equal to 1,000 years or 10 centuries, or we may say that 100 decades. And there is a generation. A generation is a group of people born in the same period, or it refers to the average difference in age between a child and his or her parents. A generation is the average difference in age between a child and their parents, or between children and their parents. This we all call that what we call a generation. It means generation is the average difference in the age between the parents and their children. So let us see the carbon 14. Carbon 14. What is carbon 14? This is the scientific method of determining dates in history, and it is the most common and modern method of determining dates in history. It means that carbon 14, this is the method which used in history by the historians by the people who have specialized in determining dates in history, to determine the dates of the historical information. So the archaeologists commonly use this method after discovering remains. To mean that the archaeologists, I have told you that archaeologists are the one who start about archaeology. It means that after conducting the excavation of past remains, they use carbon 14. They use carbon 14 to determine the time of that past remain. So the archaeologists use carbon 14 to determine the date or the time of that excavated remain. The radiocarbon dating during the lifetime of living animals and vegetable matters absorbs a minute amount of radioactive carbon or carbon 14 from atmosphere. It means that radiocarbon dating during the lifetime of both living animals and vegetables matter absorbs a minute amount of radioactive carbon, or absorbs the amount of carbon from the atmosphere. After death, the level of carbon 14 in the object gradually declines at a steady measurable rate. It means that after the death of living animals or plants, the carbon 14 in the object gradually declines at a steady measurable rate. But also we have language dating. Language dating. Historical events can be dated by the use of language. It means that the historical events can be dated by the use of language. Here, some words used in a given language can help to understand when a given event occurred. For example, in Kiswahili, there are some words that are used that they do tell when a given event took place. For example, the use of the word karafuu marks the beginning of the use of cloves in East Africa. It means that there is the use of language in dating. Specifically, we use some words which were occurred in a certain period of time. For example, the word karafuu. Karafuu is the word which was occurred in East Africa after the arrival of the Sultan from Oman in 1840, when Sultan Said from Oman, Muscat, shifted with his capital to Zanzibar. So, after establishment of settlement at Zanzibar, he introduced the clove plantation. So that's why the word karafuu or cloves was started. So once someone pronounce or utter the word karafuu, probably you will know that the word karafuu started when the Arabs reached in Zanzibar and they established the plantations of cloves. So we may use the words that mark the period when they occurred. For example, the term dog. Dog was the animal that was mostly domesticated or that was kept by the human or by man in the early civilization. It means that the early civilization in the Middle East, the dog was the animal that was firstly domesticated or kept by man. So once you listen the word dog, you'll probably get the time that dog was occurred in the early civilization. And many other words which can be used in dating. But here we are still proceeding with the remembering changes and events dating. It means that remembering changes and the event dating. Event can help in dating history, for example, famine, hurricanes, etc. It means that here tracing the events or tracing the facts relating events. For example, in history we may determine the date by remembering the events. For example, famine period, harvesting period, tsunami period, or hurricanes when they occurred in a certain area. By using these changes, one is able to tell what event took place and also reflect the time at which that event took place. For example, by remembering the Kagelan War between Tanzania and Uganda, when Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere fought the war with Idi Amin Dada of Uganda. So you can trace that event took place in 1978. So probably that event has made you to tell the date of the event that took place during that time. That may be the collapse of East Africa community that was occurred in the relating date of that event of Kagelan War. So that's how we use remembering changes and event dating in order to determine the date of the historical event. Another is order order of events dating, order of events dating, or chronological of event dating. These show the arrangements of events in series, for example, family and clan chronology. It means that these show the arrangement of events in series, for example, family and clan chronology, or we can say that family tree. Chronological order of events or timeline or time graph and time chart. To mean that the chronological order of events can be shown in timeline, it means timeline, time graph or time chart. Here there are some examples of the charts that can be, I mean the time methods that can be used to determine the time. Here there is timeline. Here, number 1, there is 300 BC. Number 2, there is 200 BC. Then in number 3, there is 100 BC or before Christ. Then number 4, there is 100 AD after the birth of Christ. Here in the back, there is the before the birth of Christ or Jesus Christ. Once in number 4, there is AD, whereby Jesus Christ was already born. But also there is 1000 AD after the birth of Jesus Christ. But also here there is 1800 AD or 1800 AD or after birth of Christ or Anno Domini. Then after timeline there is time chart. Time chart will comprise the column 1 and column 2, and by showing the periods or year and the event that occurred in that year. That's what we call time chart. Here there is periods or year. Here there is, and on the other end column there is events. In 1000 AD or after birth of Christ, the discovery of iron. It means that when it reached in this year, there was discovery of iron in 1000 AD. The discovery of iron was occurred in the world. But in 1498, Vasco da Gama arrived at the Cape of Good Hope. It means that in 1498, Vasco da Gama arrived at the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. So here there is the year, and on the other side there is the event that took place. But in 1500 there was the emergence of Untemi system of organization. Another, in 1698 there was the fall of Fort Jesus. The Fort Jesus that was built by the Portuguese. So when it reached in this year, the Portuguese rule was fall. That followed by the fall of Fort Jesus. But also in 1700, so in 1700 this was the end of Portuguese rule in East Africa. In 1741, Mombasa established itself as an independent sheikhdom. So this showed the years in one side, and on the other side show the events that was occurred in a certain period of time. And in 1840, Sultan said shift his capital from Muscat to Zanzibar. In 1800, the Industrial Revolution in Europe. In 1900, signing of the Buganda Agreement. In 1961, independence of Tanganyika. 1964, the Zanzibar Revolution. 1992, multi-party politics in Tanzania, or introduction of multipartyism in Tanzania. And in 1999, that was the event occurred, was the death of Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. So this is the time chart that showing the events and their dates. As I have told you that this is the chart showing the time of the events. To me that it shows the date of the event that was took place in the certain place, but there is timeline that shows the time and the certain event that was occurred. So I would like to wind up there and to give you the exercise which comprise 2 questions. Form 1 students, these are the questions which you are supposed to perform as at the end of the topic, because this is the mark the end of our topic. So I would like to tell you that do these questions as I've given you. So the first question is mention 2 ways of determining date. The second one is define the following terms. The first term is local method, second one is scientific method, and the third one is carbon 14. So define this and mention 2 ways of determining date. So until there, I would like to thank you for watching, and I welcome you in the next class in order to proceed learning together from Edukea Tanzania. So thank you for watching and welcome again. Thank you.